Hi, Justin. The meeting actually starts at 7:30. I just had the Zoom set up at an earlier time, but the agenda says 7:30. Hi, Mac. Just so you know, the meeting doesn't start till 7:30. The Zoom just had an earlier time, but the actual agenda says 7:30.
Okay. All right. I'll jump back on at 7:30.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. It's what time? So, yeah.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Greg.
Hello. No. Oh, there you go. Okay. What?
Hey, Greg.
Yes.
Do you know if anyone is taking over doing the Zoom next month?
Yes, I do, and I have to work out some details on that, but I will let you know. Someone will be.
Because okay. I'm gonna need a link on Tuesday when I do the agenda for the meeting of June 2nd.
Okay, I'll set up a link before I go.
Okay.
Greg not going to be there?
Greg will not be in the
N-
village after next Friday.
Oh, what, he got fired?
Yeah.
No, no,
His
no.
punishment.
I took a new position at Village of Scarsdale.
Oh, getting all fancy.
Sure.
Congrats, I guess.
Thank you.
Hmm?
You
Bill,
doing
have
the
you
same
stopped
stuff?
shaving?
Yeah, it's the village planner for Scarsdale. The current village planner is retiring after 20 years. So I did
Young
all of
folk
my
plan.
interviews. Yeah, I did all of my interviews on Zoom, so I was well prepared after all the Zoom meetings that I've had.
Is it just me, or is it my machine, or is it sort of, this whole thing seemed kind of a little bit stop action here? It's not streaming smoothly where I am. I don't know if it's me or you, if it's the setup in general.
Yeah,
Yeah, it seems.
that's a way. Yeah, I see you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was
Not much I
moving
can
kind
do
of
about
herky
that.
jerky. Yeah. Like you're talking, but your lips aren't moving at the same time.
Mm.
Technology.
Hmm.
Bill, did you lose your
Yeah,
razor?
sometimes it even.
Did I lose my what?
Your razor?
Nah, it's just this, quarantine play with your hair thing,
How's
Well-
Jill?
Any votes? It's not that popular among my family.
No.
So I
How's
got
your
the whole
wife
new
feel?
look and got all this hair.
Yeah.
How's
going
Jill
through the same
doing?
problem.
Jill's doing, yeah, much better.
Good.
Greg, are we going to be recording this?
It's already recording. I probably should have prefaced that. It's recording.
There's recording up here on the left.
Okay.
All right, it's not quite time to get started, I guess. Is
We don't have Cindy, and Andy told me he was going to be here.
Cindy and Andrew on here?
Mm.
Well, here's Andrew. It's Wallowitz, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Cindy.
Andrew, hello.
He's back.
Mhm.
Bill, hi there.
Things settled down in your line there at this point, Andrew?
I think he's muted.
Oh, he is muted.
Andy, you have to unmute.
I could unmute you if you'd like.
And now it looks
Oh.
like Athena's
I don't-
muted.
I'm muted because I can hear it bouncing around upstairs. I can want you guys to hear it.
that is weird. Yes. Why is my picture not showing that? Oh, I see why. Gosh
Hello.
darn. I'm having technical difficulties. Hi, y'all.
Hi.
Hello.
Now Athena's muted. I'm gonna put this here. Should we
All right, I guess we can get started.
Yep.
Greg, are there other people on besides us?
Yep, you got 10 attendees in addition to the board.
Okay. All right, well,
Continuing
welcome
the
everyone to the Village of Mamaroneck
Hi.
Board of Architectural Review meeting. Obviously being conducted virtually versus in person. We do have the full board here, so there hopefully will not be issues with quorums or anything like that. I have been advised that there's been a one change to the agenda. The one of the applicants for 521 English Place has elected to pass on this meeting and come to the next one. So if there's anybody here who is particularly interested in that meeting, you can go do something else and we'll see you next time. For everyone else, if you are an interested party and would like to
Megan?
comment or participate, please indicate by raising your hand, and the moderator, Greg Cutler, will acknowledge you and bring you into the discussion. And with that, I guess we can get started. The first issue being, I guess, the approval of the minutes from the prior meeting.
Don't step into the screen, but there's no sound.
Did you start with computer audio at the beginning?
I'm
Greg,
gonna
Andy
mute
can't-
Andrew. Yeah, I know. We can hear him though, so I muted him until he figures it out. Scott, we'll call on
Okay.
you when it gets to your agenda item.
Okay. Anyway,
If you have a question, sorry, Scott, if you want to email me whatever question you have, you can email me at gcutler@vomny.org. Sorry.
I think somebody else today.
I'm
Can you turn
not
it-
sure what that was. There's somebody.
I could
Okay. Was that, there was a sidebar there. Is that concluded, Greg?
That was Andrew, just trying to figure out his audio. So I muted him again until they figure it out.
Oh.
And then we also had an attendee who raised his hand, and I asked him to send me an email if it's something that I can answer. I'll try.
All right. All right, let's get going here. Were there any comments on the prior minutes? Assume you've all had a chance to see them. And if no comments, can I have a motion to accept them, approve them?
I motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any opposed? All right, so moved.
Nope.
They are approved then. And
Okay.
there being no old business, we will proceed directly into the new business. And the first application is 305 4th Street.
I'll ask if you are the applicant for this application. Please just raise your hand and I'll promote you to panelist.
Jason,
It's Jason and Phil. Okay.
which,
Okay, you should be able to speak.
Hi, this is Phil Chun. I'm the homeowner.
hi,
Hi, how are you?
all right, yeah,
Staying safe.
Jason Litchwick is here as well, the architect for Philip Chun.
okay.
Hello.
So, should I present the drawings that I have for you guys?
Yes.
Let me, where's the share screen? One second here.
Oh no. Oh boy.
It's the green button at the bottom of your screen. You just click that and then click share again.
Yep, I'm just looking for the,
Amen.
I think I keep getting kicked off here. Hold on.
Oh no.
We can see your screen now.
Can you see that? Are the drawings up?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Dark, okay.
Okay, so this is the existing residence at 305 4th Street. And it's got the existing gambrel roof. And what we're proposing to do, back in 2016, they had an addition done to the rear of the house, which was this area here. And they always anticipated to do a second-story addition to that. So that's what we're here tonight presenting to you. Scroll down to what we're going to propose. So this addition here is a second-story master bedroom addition, which will be above the existing living room, family room area. We're proposing to step that back because the main road down here on the bottom, so it wouldn't look so tall. We're stepping it back to kind of keep the height from looking like such a tall building. In the rear of the house, where we had that existing addition that was done back in 2016, we're just going to extend that up. It's only about a 3'8" addition, like a bump out. And because of the gambrel roof, it's tough to really do anything other than to continue the attic up and to continue that roof out that you can see here. In the floor plan, you can see the existing second floor. The house was originally a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and we're going to be taking out the wall, basically the second story, all the walls on the second floor, And what we're proposing is extending the existing bathroom that's there, creating one bedroom, a second bedroom, and a master bedroom suite with a master bath. The exterior of the house, we're going to keep the same material. It's currently existing cedar shake shingles. All the new material proposed is going to be cedar shake shingles to match. And the same with the roof. It's existing asphalt shingles, and we'll match that as well to what's there. And that's really the extent of the scope.
Could you go up a second to the existing elevations? Okay, I see. All right. Can you comment briefly on the structure? You're expanding out here over this lower section, and you haven't shown any first floor plans. I assume you're not changing it. Is this all supported by beams, if you will, on that second floor space there?
Correct. So we're gonna cut part of that roof away, and we're gonna install 2x10 floor joists on top of the existing exterior walls. And then the new roof is gonna match the existing lower roof in pitch and style. It's gonna be hip roof.
Okay. It looked like that on the sections. It wasn't quite clear without the first floor what was holding this all up. But, that was my guess.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause on the lower street, we have a garage level here, and then we have the existing. This looks like it was an addition at some point in time, which is used as a family room. And that's basically what we're going to take this dormer out that's here, and the second story addition will just be sitting right on top of that, but stepped back.
Can you go down to the proposed again now?
Sure.
Again.
Oh.
All right. Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments from the board?
No,
And
actually no.
No.
okay. Is there anybody from the audience listening in who has any questions, comments, or anything? Greg? Did you hear Greg?
I'm not seeing any. Yeah, I heard you. I'm not seeing anybody.
Okay. All right. Okay, so if there's no comments from the board or the audience, is there anybody have any, if there's no objections, then does somebody want to give me a motion to approve it then?
A motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, there being nobody
Nope.
opposed, all in favor. Okay, it's approved then unanimously. And
All right.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
So everyone knows, Andrew is still having difficulties with he can't hear anything. So I'm trying to work with
Oh.
it out.
Mm.
Okay. I assume he didn't have any comments either, I guess. All right.
We
Did
don't
you-
know.
Yeah, well, I guess that train's left the station, but in future, I didn't know that. Let's make sure and make sure see if he has any comments. All right, so the next applicant is 907 Taylor's Lane.
Mhm.
Again, if you could raise your hand, applicant.
Scott Lumby.
Okay.
Right.
You should be able to speak. Oh, there we go.
No.
This does seem oddly sluggish today, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
Well, he's bringing that up. This is the house that we approved already. When we approved it, did it have a garage or it just had the existing structure with the greenhouse there?
It-
I
it-
don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
When did we see this one, Athena? Was I here?
I don't recall seeing this one.
We saw it maybe 9 months ago.
Oh, okay, so last year. All right.
It was a huge redo. I just can't remember if the existing garage and greenhouse was kept in the prior redo or if there was something there and now that's not there and this is there. So that's my question.
I find it very
You're not-
difficult to refer back to the older projects and see
Yeah.
what, to look at them.
The greenhouse, you're not thinking of Shore Lane, are you?
I don't think so. We saw
The
this,
one on the
Barbara,
little
right? Like,
island is,
I think this one has done something in the past, yes.
Yeah, there is a drawing, a site plan that shows a larger addition for the garage. I noticed. I think it's in but maybe that's a
There's
confusion.
there's
Maybe,
another garage inside the house.
yeah.
And this is, so I guess that stays there.
Hey guys, it's Scott Lumby, the general contractor. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting these plans to share on the screen. But yes, I can confirm that there is a single car garage in the main part of the house. I'm not sure what drawings you've all been issued, but I can tell you the detached garage structure is a 20'7" 6 by a 26-foot wide 2-car garage. The architectural exterior aesthetic on the house is being matched identically. from the trim details, all the cedar shake siding, the cedar roof, all the decorative brackets that are going to be holding up different elements of the roof line. They're all identical to the existing house.
Excuse me. Greg, can you help him with getting the drawings up in some way? Like, do we
Yeah. So are they just not opening on your computer?
Yeah, I'm going to just force quit and just see if something's...
Yeah, it looked like the computer was frozen.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Shore Road. You're right.
Yeah, that's the greenhouse and all. This one does have an existing garage, but
If I could make a suggestion to the chair, maybe we can have him try and pull up his plans, and you can go to a different applicant for the time being. It's up to you, obviously. Just
yeah, sure, okay. Well, we can circle back if.
I'll try and get it on my iPad, and I'll raise my hand after the next one if I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to stop your sharing for now.
Okay.
All right, so let's then, if we can, move on to 204 Highview.
Okay, raise your hand, please. Okay.
Hey,
Yeah, you
my
should be
name's
able to share
Justin.
your
with
screen.
the-
204.
So this is the proposal for solar panels at 204 Highview Street. It's 29 panels, 8.8 kilowatt system. All of the panels will be in the back of the house.
Okay.
It looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are items 1 and 2 in the front of the house there?
Oh, those are the ladder points. Those are for the for fire code.
Okay, the ladder attachment points. Okay.
Yeah. And
All right.
we have. You guys need to see anything else? We have these pictures, just for
Yeah.
what it'll look like with the panels on the house.
Yep.
So they're not
Is
visible
there-
at all from the street.
No, yeah, they're all in the back of the house.
Right. Right. They're black. What's the color? Black?
Yeah, black.
Okay.
Yeah, not too much to say about it. They're in the back of the house. You can't see them. They're
Yeah.
arranged in an orderly fashion. So I don't know. Does anybody have any comments?
No.
Is there a way to ask Andrew if he has any comments, Greg?
He left the meeting.
Oh,
Oh wait,
gosh.
he's back. He's back.
You did.
No, it's weird. Now it's saying he's not, so I'm a little confused. I could send him an email. But
Oh, I mean, do we proceed? Barbara, should we just proceed as if he's not in attendance, or?
I think we're going to have to, because, we're 20 minutes in and he hasn't really had a good connection the whole time.
Yeah.
And we
so
have enough.
we have a quorum, so I guess we're going to have to at least do
And
it
then she's
on.
probably here. She's just not showing on the screen. She disappears sometimes.
But we can't get any feedback or talk to him or anything from him.
Mm.
Well,
Right.
I don't know if we count him as no vote or not present or what, but anyhow, I guess the rest of us will have to ask. Is there anybody in the audience raising their hand, Greg?
Just the previous applicant, who I guess has his plans ready.
Okay. All right, then. If,
I motion.
okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Oh, shoot, I'm on mute. I motion.
Okay, and second someone?
I second. I second.
Okay. Anybody opposed? All right, it is passed. Thank you. Justin?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I just got a little note.
Road.
from Andrew is chatting saying he's working on it. Okay. All right, so let's knock off the other solar panel and then circle back to Taylor's Lane. So could we do 1319 Raleigh Road?
Okay.
The other applicants, oh, okay. Is that Mac?
Yes.
You're up.
Great. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Everybody see my screen? Can everybody see my screen / hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So this project is 15 solar panels. As you can see here, they're symmetrically placed all on the back side of the roof. So it's not visible from the street, and they are black on black panels.
Okay. And Andrew's back.
Okay.
Okay. Andrew, why don't you like solar panels, so why don't you comment?
You all don't like solar panels?
Good memory, Bill, by the way, on that.
Yeah, I'd say this also, it's pretty straightforward
It's
looking.
pretty straightforward, right? I mean, they're solar panels, they're symmetric, they're all going the same way, and they're in the back of the house.
Yeah, so it's hard to see what we would object to, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any further comments on it? Or is there any audience member, anybody interested? In which case, could I get a motion to approve then? Somebody want a motion?
I motion.
Second, please.
I second.
Second.
All at
What
once.
delay there.
Okay, any opposed?
No.
Okay, nobody's opposed, right? Okay, that's passed then.
No.
Okay, thank you much, Mac. Looks good.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, have a good day.
The previous applicant, Scott, is raising his hand, so I guess his plans
Okay,
are
so we
ready.
can go back to him now. Okay.
Kind of seven.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is this going back to the house on 4th Street?
No, this is the 907
907.
Taylor's Lane.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
He had trouble sharing his screen. We didn't realize you were not on 4th Street, so we proceeded without you.
It's fine. Was there any disagreement? I mean,
No, everybody
no,
was
it's
okay
very
with it.
simple. Yes,
Yeah.
I walked by that house the other day, not realizing it was going to be on the schedule.
Okay, Scott, you can share your screen now.
Okay, thanks, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties before.
Is that Scott?
It's okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. That's Yvonne.
Can you guys see that now?
We can see a picture of you, or I assume it's you.
Yeah.
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 Let's click share again.
Hang on. Share content. Google Drive. Connect. I'm on my iPad, so just bear with me a little bit for a few seconds. Oh.
We did do test runs, but things still come up during the meeting, so I apologize for that.
Yeah. All right. I think we can get to it now.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Okay, so as you can, I don't have the cursor, but I'll do my best to describe it as we're speaking with everyone. As you can see, there's the existing residence that you're right. What they did do a large renovation previously in the last, I guess, 2 to 3 years. There is a single car garage on the far right hand side of the existing residence. There is a single car garage at ground level. What we are proposing is as you can see in this, is the proposed detached 2-car garage that, as I was saying previously, matches the aesthetic of the existing house. Your plans, mine are upside down. Well, the aesthetic of the existing, the plans of the existing house are to be matched on the detached garage. There is a Dr. Bruce Rudin's daughter is an artist, so he's put a multi-purpose room above that he's planning on using it as a workshop / artist studio above the 2-car garage. And as you'll see, all the architectural elements from the existing house are being matched like for like throughout the whole exterior, from the decorative trim pieces to the crown moldings on the soffits to the flaring at the base of the siding at the base. So I'm not sure if anyone has any questions, just let me know and I'll do my best to answer them.
What is your neighbor immediately to the, I don't know, the right? I don't know what direction it is.
To the right, if you're on the
Go to
street.
site plan. If you look at the site plan. Scott? Yeah, okay. So as I look at that, the closest to the garage, what's happening over there next to?
There is a neighbor on that side. I believe I did do a neighbor. I took a photo of the both sides of the entry gate. It's the side yard of the neighboring house. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm sort of looking on Google Map here.
Well, we do also, you did include images of them, of the houses. But it is hard to see the proximity. We can't really tell, right?
Okay.
There's
Let me
something.
see.
It does appear that there's something of, from Google Maps, it looks like there's something of a forest in between you and the adjoining house. At least 2 or 3 rows of trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there definitely is some screening. There definitely is some screening.
Oh boy.
The boundaries of
Hello?
We can hear you, Yvonne.
Okay.
And Barbara and Bill, this big a garage is still considered an accessory structure? I just don't know the regulations on that.
You know, I don't know either. I'm assuming that the building inspector has looked at it and made an appropriate determination.
Okay.
Barbara? Barbara there?
Yes, the building inspector looked at it, yes.
Yeah. So I honestly don't know what defines an accessory structure versus an actual structure. So I'm kind of a little bit relying on the building department on that.
Mhm.
I have anything to say.
Any, are there any audience participants, Greg?
I don't see any hands raised.
All right. Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments?
One more question. The doors to the garage are facing which way? I can't tell where the road comes in.
The garage doors are facing the driveway as you're coming up the hill. Like there's a small hill. The doors to the front of the garage are as you come up on straight in front of you.
So they face the house, kind of?
I think they kind of face Taylor's Lane.
Not the garage doors don't. They face
Yeah.
Taylor's Lane. The garage doors. The pedestrian door faces the house. Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, you can see the walk from the pedestrian door to the back of the house.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Mhm. Yeah.
The house and the property next door is off on the, I think is off on the left too. In other words, it's not, as you're facing the property, the house on its left is towards the left of its property. It's away from this. So I recall.
Oh. So
I used
there's
to I used to
big
run this
buffer.
all the time, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I looked at it on Google Maps. It looks like they're big lots, basically.
They're big
I mean,
lots,
you know,
yeah.
it's hard to
Right.
say.
Well,
This one's a double lot, in fact.
and it looks like 843 Taylor's Lane is possibly for sale. Is that right?
That is correct.
So there wouldn't be a neighbor to comment on that.
Well, you could still comment if he feels it jeopardizes.
I
his
mean,
safety.
another neighbor, but not that house.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. Any other
I'm good.
comments?
I'm
Questions?
good.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody has any objections? Does somebody want a motion then?
A motion.
I second.
Any opposed? All right, then.
No.
You're good to go.
Okay.
Scott.
Great.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and that I think brings us to One Shore Road then.
Yeah.
One sec.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Ira, it's Peter. Are you also on?
He's on. I just promoted him to panelist. Let me unmute. Ira, can you speak?
Yes,
Ira, do you want me to start for a moment?
if you'd like, introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, it's Peter Gross, the owner of One Shore Road. I'll start by simply mentioning, I hope I'm not mispronouncing the name. Is it Mr. Binzer?
Yes.
I will look wistfully at the poster you have behind you at Tanglewood. Not just because how much I love Tanglewood, but I'm on the board of the New York Philharmonic, and as you probably read, we had to cancel our entire free summer series of concerts in the park. And it's really
There's a lot of
uncertain.
that going around. We go often in the summer to Colorado, to Aspen, and the Aspen Music Festival, that's canceled too. So,
Well, and you know, the
a lot of it
Philharmonic,
going around.
yeah, the Philharmonic plays there. We've had to cancel that. And what's tough is when we get to the fall, because of the demographic of the people who actually come to our concerts, it's unclear what our path's going to be. So fingers crossed on a
well,
therapeutic or medical solution. But anyway, sorry to digress. So
yeah,
thank
we're
you all for
long-term,
your,
we're long-term subscribers, so we're pulling for you as well.
yeah.
Okay.
So just to get to it, first, thank you for your time. We just, as Mr. Cutler can tell you, we just got through the Harbor Coastal last month after an 8-month process, which we were pleased to finally get through. And Mr. Granberg had spent some time on site showing them the plans that we're about to discuss. Unfortunately, they were very excited about that. And we've had one meeting or two, I guess, with the planning board, and I think we're feel comfortable that we should be okay there. And they're also excited to by the design. As you probably know, this was the first house in Greenhaven. It was first the house of Vivian Green, and when I bought it, I might be, with all the people dialed in and all those assembled, probably the dumbest of the group. Because I bought it with a Pollyannish view that with some modest repair, we could get this house in order. And what we ended up finding as we did it is that it was full of asbestos, rot, and a whole host of items that didn't come up so well until you took some walls and opened up some walls. And so it's been quite a project. The one guiding hand in this has been Mr. Granberg, who'll speak in a moment. And I don't know what the proper term is, whether it's architectural anomalies or architectural incongruities. When I bought it, there was the south side of the house was a kind of a 1970s style master bedroom that was kind of slapped on top of the house. And so there was what was once, I think, a kind of a pillar of architectural rectitude in the neighborhood. Ceased to be that way. And what Mr. Granberg has tried to do is we've been trying to modernize the house, but do something that really is in keeping with very much the original intent of architecturally of what that house was supposed to be. And so what we've really tried to do here is attempt to do something that would make all those feel that we were proper stewards of the area, and trying to do something that long-term recreate in many ways the aesthetic that once had existed. So Ira, I'll leave it to you to.
You've been here before, and at that time I even recall you mentioning that this other phase was going to be coming, and so here you are.
Yeah, fair enough. Ira, do you want to?
Yes, Greg?
Yep.
You said you would be able to assist me putting some of these on the screen.
Yeah, just tell me what plans you want up.
All right, let me start with sheet A202, which is the existing plan. There are two sheets A02, but this one says existing demo north-south exterior. They're elevations.
Ah, elevations.
And I wanted to bring the board up to date on the history of what we did before the board. That's it. We came before you last year. We had immediate needs because the existing house had an extreme level of deterioration. The roof was coming off. The windows were almost entirely broken. When the timbers were opened up, it's a Tudor revival built in the 1920s. We found extensive rot throughout the exterior facade of the house. And there were anomalies on the house that were built over the years that were basically add-ons to the house. And one of the first interventions we made was what Mr. Gross indicated. If you look at your lower drawing on the right-hand side, this was a rotunda master bedroom addition designed in the postmodern style by a well-known architect who must have had a bad night because it didn't fit the house. And you all unanimously concurred with that. And we showed you plans for the renovation, which you approved. And since then, the structure has been put on the house and it's awaiting finishes. We saved all the stone on the house that had been originally there, and we've stockpiled that stone and hand cut it so that it's ready to put on our new addition. Now, if you look at the upper drawing, you'll see the right hand of the house has a greenhouse done by Lord & Burnham, a very well-known company that I had done a number of greenhouses with that's no longer in business. That greenhouse was an enormous greenhouse on top of the garages. That entire structure was in a state of structural steel near collapse. It was annotated by the structural engineers, and it was basically not only an eyesore, but it was totally incongruous with the main house structure. Then comes along the fact that if, Greg, we could go to the site plan, which is a colored rendering of the site plan. I think it's one of the first 4 or 5 sheets.
Is it in this same package?
Yes, it is.
It looks like Barbara may have split it up. Let me take a look.
Yeah, we sent multiple PDFs to Barbara, so I can't tell you if it's in that package.
What's the sheet number again?
The colored rendering is sheet, bear with me. Well, why don't we go to sheet A002? That's the photographs of the original house. And excuse me for breaking this up, but it's a very complex project, and I will not try to labor you with too many details, but I want to overview it for you so you understand the determinants of what we've done and why we've done it. So A202 shows the photographs of the original building.
I'm not seeing photographs on the A202 that I have.
A002, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. One sec.
Okay, there you go. So you can see on the upper left the original house, and on the right-hand side, if you can make it out, on the right-hand side of the picture, you'll see the rotunda, which was the master bedroom. And that had been demolished based on my presentation to you, and a new gable structure was put on, which I'll show you in a minute, to complement the other gables, which are a predominant architectural feature of the house. On the lower right, you can see the massive stone wall, which was basically the garage and boiler room, and the large Lord & Burnham greenhouse. One of the things that's very subtle that you should realize, because this had to do with predominantly how we approached the new design, was that the greenhouse did not engage the main house. There was a 10-foot space between the greenhouse and the main house with a flat roof, so that the structure itself did not ruin the definition of the main house, which you can see in the upper left photo. Now, if we go to sheet L 1.4, Greg. This is the colored site plan of what we're proposing. Okay? What happened was the entire seawall on the left side of the property started to disintegrate. And the Long Island Sound and the lake behind it were coming through the seawall and creating an environmental hazard. We received an emergency repair through the Harbor Coastal Management, and we were given the right to completely rebuild a certain length of that seawall, a substantial amount. But the only way to get to the seawall with the large equipment was to take down the garage and the greenhouse, which everyone, including the building department, agreed to. So we received, under the umbrella of Harbor Coastal, an emergency repair and a demolition permit to take down, which already was in a potential state of collapse, the garage and the greenhouse.
Just to be clear, it was actually through the building department.
Yes.
Harbor Coastal didn't have to do
That's
that.
right. We got
I just want to be clear.
permit through the building department.
Yeah.
What our addition is it's basically in the general area of the garage, the greenhouse, and the hardscape patio that was behind the garage. The proposed plan, just to overview it briefly, is that we have a main house now with a pool and patio behind it facing the water. And we have an entryway with a forecourt for car parking. We have an existing tennis court. And one of the things we've done is the entire house is going to be on a geothermal system, which means that in lieu of approximately 9 air conditioning units around the house, all air conditioning for the house will be underground, so that we're utilizing both an energy efficient and an aesthetic situation where we're not compromising the look of the land. And all of this has been vetted through Harbor Coastal as well as planning. And through their potential and realistic approvals, we've met drainage requirements, wetland setback requirements, and the general site planning of the project. Now, if we could go to sheet A201 that says north elevation. This is a critical elevation.
Just give me 1 second.
Sure. Sorry, we gave you a lot of sheets. No, that's the existing. This would say new north elevation A201. There are two 201s, Greg. No, it's not this one. It's A201, which is this one, are existing conditions.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just don't see it in what I have.
All the new elevations should be in one PDF.
Yeah, it's called proposed elevations. Yeah.
Okay, I think I found it.
I think Greg's got the hardest job here on the call.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, so if you look at the main house, you'll see the scope of the work with all the stonework and the half timbering. We did a historical analysis of every timber, every dimension, every proportion, and we're replicating that with our new addition as well. Our new addition is basically the right-hand 2 bays that you see. One, you're looking straight on a low roof, and then you're seeing a gable on the right side. And all those details are both complementary to the main house as well as to the addition you approved in the back of the building. The original garages had less than a 7.5 feet width between them and were only 18 feet deep. So you couldn't even park a current car in them. So the new garages are split so that we could get adequate garage space under the house. We also found that the roof would not support a new roof to meet the building code. So the entire roof of the main house was rebuilt with trusses to support a new slate roof. And if you went to the site, you'd see that that roof is presently installed. On the right-hand side of the drawing, you'll see, I'm sorry? Okay, the right-hand side of the drawing, you'll see a gabled structure. That gabled structure has on this side of the elevation and on the south side of the elevation, heavy timber open porches to both reduce the mass of the construction, but to also act as wonderful verandas. This one overlooks the tennis court. The other one overlooks Long Island Sound. If you go to the next sheet, A202, you have it, it's there up above. Yeah. You'll see again that we tried to replicate the low flat roof that basically is a separator between the main house and the addition, and that's over a screened porch. And then the gable on the left, which you just saw on the other side, again has an open veranda made of heavy timber, which picks up the timber details in the rest of the house. Now, if we could go, Greg, finally, I'll cut short a lot of these.
Before you do that, could you just go back to the previous, the front elevation?
Sure. Right.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Just, I mean, it's not an important point, but I'm confused. Over the garage, there is the garage level, then there is another level, which is apparently an habitable level, and then there's a peaked roof.
There's a pitchback roof, yes.
A pitchback roof. Now, if I go to the next drawing down,
Right.
I don't see where that pitchback roof is.
Way in the back of that. You wouldn't see that. It's on the front edge of the house.
So it's
beyond that. In
So
other
there
words, you see the two skylights?
I see the two skylights.
Those are over the screen porch. And
Yeah.
beyond that is the pitch roof.
I see. So it would show in this elevation, but you didn't.
It
provide any
wouldn't
design.
show, but the pitch roof does not connect to the main house. It's floating from it if you look at the front elevation.
Actually, the line of it is there, correct? But you just have not.
Right, you can
filled
see
in
the line.
slate.
That's right, sir. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, if we can go to the
Mine's not
rendering,
labeled,
Greg,
but
if we can go to the renderings, that's the first sheet in your set. Two colored renderings.
I couldn't find them on the BAR submission, but I did, at least not what's posted online, but I did find two from planning board. I don't know if these are the
Okay,
same.
that'll be it. That's it. So this is a very accurate rendering of what we've got. If you look at the house, you come into the forecourt, just beyond that in that low roof is going to be the new mudroom entrance that is designed with timbers complementary to the rest of the house, which will be the entrance to the lower level, in which we're putting an elevator in the house because the first floor is so far above grade that you really can't, for older people, have the luxury of getting to the main floor of the house very easily. The next level to the right of that is that peak roof you were mentioning. And then to the right of that is the veranda that overlooks the tennis court. And that's pretty much it. And if we go to the next rendering, which is the south elevation, you'll see how we try to compositionally work with the house. The right-hand gabled roof is what you guys approved. And that's the new master bedroom. And as you can see, it complements the multiple gables that are pre-existing. The new construction, we have a timber pergola to give shade because it's due south over the screen porch. And then we have the open veranda, again, looking out at the water. And our pool is, as you saw on the site plan, which is an edgeless pool, that's in front of that. And that's pretty much an overview of what we've done. Again, all the stone, we've made great efforts that it will match the existing, both in cut and mortar. The timbers will match the existing. The windows are all custom windows in profile that match the existing. And you can see on this rendering, on the main level of the house, we didn't want to have a two-story shear wall with windows above and below. So we set that level back so we have a glass railing so that there's an upper patio under the pergola and off the family room that overlooks the water. And that area steps back from the main level, even though the stone is a continuous line that wraps around the entire house.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much an overview, and I'll be glad to answer any specifics.
Is the color pretty consistent with what, I mean, the stone, pretty much whatever that gray is, and then the stucco and the timber?
Yes, the color I showed you at the first meeting we had last year, it's an off-white stucco with a cream-colored timber that matches some of the tonal value of the mortar and the stone. It'll all be, it's not going to be like a Tudor with dark brown timbers. It's going to be very complementary and I think compositionally correct.
And Ira, you might want to mention that this is a older rendering of the south side of the house. The windows there that look black, they're black. They're not. They're going to be the same color as
the same color as the timbers, which is more complementary.
So if you look at the Greg, if you don't mind going back just to the front of the house, that really is what all the windows are going to be in the same color as the rest of the house. They're not going to have the black frames that you saw in the south elevation. Yeah. They're all going to be of this color.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this addition, it's a very private site. The addition doesn't have any neighbors right up against it. It's a part of the site that has wonderful views. And we tried to make the architecture both in the outside and the inside blend together in a way that's an enjoyable environment for our client to be in and one that doesn't overpower you. It's a large house. It's a 16,000 square foot net house. I mean, a gross house without some mechanical spaces. It was around a 15,000 square foot house, but it is what it is, and it provides the kind of spaces that create, we think, a pretty wonderful living environment for our client.
It's pretty wonderful.
Yeah, it looks very nice. Concerning the square, I'm sorry.
No.
Concerning the square footage,
yeah,
and you said it's about, it's a little over 16,000 something, and I just need to clarify something. It's my understanding that the gross floor area includes the mechanical and the garage areas. How are you doing with that number, including that? It's not the habitable, for the FAR I'm talking about.
The FAR is different. The FAR says you're allowed 400 square feet for a garage, and you have to include the mechanical, but you don't have to include basement space below a certain amount of grade. And what is not reflected is that if you look at the main house, 2/3 of the main house is below grade. So that part of the lower level is not counted from an FAR point of view, even if there's usable space within it.
Okay.
That's where that might create some confusion, but we met the FAR requirements based on their criteria.
Okay. The pool, is that going to be included as a future project, included in the landscaping?
No, in other words, it's included presently to do the whole thing at once. And the reason is because once this is built, there is no way to get equipment to build the pool or the retaining walls or the landscaping. So one of the reasons is not only for 8 months have we been before Harbor Coastal, but this job just stopped dead in its tracks. And unless we can get this done, we can't continue with our renovation of the main house. So all of this is no pressure intended, but we would hope we can make this now as smooth as possible since we have the other two boards' approvals.
And Ira, it may be worth mentioning that there, as people I think know from the previous plan, there was a pool there before.
Yeah,
We're
I saw
we're
it.
essentially just putting a pool in the exact same place generally that
Yeah.
it was before, or
Right.
close proximity to it.
Right.
And and the great aspiration here, as you saw Ira's pictures before, and I'll give Ira the credit, because if it was left to me, I probably would have done something a bit more modern. Ira's steady hand is kind of kept on this thing so that it really is more architecturally akin to what really was once there, as opposed to then what it kind of became as different styles were added on in a somewhat incoherent fashion as time went on. So the goal here was very much to give it some sense of something that really was more reminiscent of a different time.
I also want to mention, not to gild the lily here, but the gables and roof pitches are exactly matching the main house. So we're not dealing with any anomalies of A and B. We're dealing with really complementary components. And I think the gable, our position is the gable at the end of the house anchors the house, where before I just ran off and it just wasn't right. No.
Yeah. What is the roof material? Is it
It's
slate
slate.
or
It's Vermont slate.
slate?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Uh-huh.
And the original roof was, or the existing roof was asphalt shingles. So the owners.
Oh, this is better.
I think
much better.
better, yes.
It's
yeah.
terribly expensive, but it seemed to fit the project, and so that's what we did.
And just to give you one more point, to not keep you up too late, is the chimney completely started to fall down. The chimney all the way down to the basement was not supported properly since 1920s. So as soon as the renovation started and all the structural walls were put in, an enormous crack that was pre-existing in the chimney made the whole thing heave over. So Mr. Gross has had to build the entire chimney from the ground up, which was not anticipated, and they reused the existing stones. And if you went to the site, it would look like it was there forever. So that was just one more aspect of the scope of the project.
And if I could just make a comment without giving the applicant more ideas, it looks like they could go up to 18,000 square feet with lot size for FAR. So they're actually even under it, even if you were going with gross floor.
We'll be by next week with another table, okay?
Greg, I have to tell you, you've impressed me tremendously throughout the long process with Harbor Coastal, but that would be one departure from all the things I was impressed by.
Well, I'm curious, what happens if you have to repair the swimming pool or seawall in 20 years?
The seawall.
That was my question.
If you saw the seawall and you saw how deep it is, how enormous the boulders were, how it was done, it wasn't done by a local mason. It was done by a coastal restorer of seawalls. I won't even leave you a forwarding address. That thing's going to be there a long time. As far as the pool goes, there are access points at either side of the house, but not to rebuild the pool. I mean, that's a whole different logistic. I can't imagine how that could be done.
Yeah, I would make a comment on the seawall. On the seawall, we were faced with a choice, which is again when I purchased it, the seawall looked like a modest amount of repair could put it into good shape. We then had on the property holes that started to develop, that were about circumference around 12 feet or so, big, huge holes in the ground. And we decided to just start from scratch and rebuild it. And that seawall, if that thing doesn't hold for a century, I don't know what we would do. But I've been assured that we should be able to do, any type of reasonable repair to all of it. And so I'm counting on that. But again, what we're trying to do is put it in a place, in a position that all that we're putting in is in a quite comfortable place for a long, long time to come.
Great. Go to the back elevation.
On Ira's comments that you had to get the pool and all that work done before you built the house, because then you'd have no access to it.
Well, I guess what I'd make the following comment. You could have access to it. It would be much more complicated. It's massively more efficient, as you would guess, with that garage. We took the garage down, one, because it was gonna collapse, and it was a risk that it could collapse. But we took it down essentially to go build a seawall. Could you potentially, on the far west side of the home, run some, equipment to do it. Yes, but when you have the ability, it's just much more, it's a much more tricky to do it as opposed to, having a clean open space to go and kind of rebuild a seawall that hopefully is a 100-year-old seawall, will last 100 years.
The south elevation, I think, is great. I mean, everything that you have there facing the water,
yeah,
it looks great, terrific.
Will you look at that, Greg, a minute? Or should I stop while I'm ahead here? No.
Yeah, Ira, we both should probably stop at that comment.
No, let's stop.
It is gorgeous.
And I'll make one comment, which is to your point. What we also tried to do is, recognize that there's boating going on, et cetera, and that we want the house to be something that, people of the village, when they're out boating, that it's a nice part of the landscape compared to what it had been for years, which was a dilapidated, falling under its own weight, rotting house.
Yeah, nice looking. One question on the drawing, that site plan C4, I guess that might be the geothermal.
Yes.
Okay, the elongated rectangle there on that south lawn. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Well, that's interesting.
And I'll mention the geothermal, that was not the original intent. I was a neophyte at all of this, and it was folks weighing in on the environmental benefits from it. It's obviously not inconsequential of cost, but it also goes from an environmental standpoint and the aesthetic. No neighbor has to now look at a whole series of machinery, and so we decided to do that as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. What is the tennis court? What's the material? The tennis court existing? I know it is.
Well, right now it's concrete. It's interesting you asked the question. I hadn't decided on what that was going to be yet. It was kind of one step at a time. I hadn't decided on the court. To be candid, I probably was going to look for something that's easy on the knees to accommodate increasing age.
Also, you might find this interesting. The tennis court, the entire underbelly of the tennis court was the original septic system, which would never be approved today. And the septic system entirely failed on the site. So that we will be resurfacing the court, and new fencing and everything, but that was a major unknown at the time. Also, the existing mechanical systems in the entire house were completely shot, and the house was basically a shell.
So here's the question, Peter. If you had to do it all over again, would you have purchased the house?
I just want to know who asked that because I can't see your face.
It's Athena.
I would say I'm hoping that if you ask me that when it's completed, I will tell you emphatically yes. But I would say right now, I would say this, and it's a humbling thing. Life is a lesson. I continue to learn it, and this house has been quite an education. And again, I'm sticking with it to get it done. And I hope when you ask me that later, but certainly there have been times where that's been a complicated question to hear.
I assume you've seen the Tom Hanks movie, The Money Pit.
Yeah, I've heard that a bunch of times. I've never actually seen it, and you'll understand that I have no interest in watching that movie.
All right. Greg, are there any people in the audience with any comments?
I'm not seeing any.
Okay, then maybe move along unless anybody has any particular further comments. Can we get a motion, please?
I'll motion, and I also appreciate, in a house of this nature, it was nice to kind of get the education behind the different pieces. So it took a while, but I actually appreciated it.
Good. Okay.
I second.
Okay. Any opposed?
No.
Nope.
Pardon me? Okay, everybody's approved, right?
Right.
Okay, well,
Right.
Good luck then with it, Peter and Ira, and enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Good
all
luck
very
with
much.
your band.
What's that?
Thank you.
And good luck with your band,
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, hopefully we all can listen to some nice music live at some point in the not distant future. Thanks so much. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're left then with 1330 Mamaroneck Avenue, yes?
Yes.
I forgot we had one more.
Is that
Yeah.
everybody
It's the-
that's left
it's
in the
the last one.
audience? I got 4 people.
Mike Betcher?
David Brown asked what happened to 521 English.
Oh, he wasn't here maybe in the beginning when we announced that that one had gotten moved back till the next meeting.
Sorry about that, David.
Mm.
Okay, and Justin.
Good evening. It's Justin
Hi.
Justin.
in Travia. Hello. I also think Mike Betcher, our architect, is on. That'll be.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him promoted, but for some reason it's not taking. There we go. Okay, he just disappeared. We'll have to wait for him to reconnect.
He's been on since the beginning with me.
Yeah. You know, we tested this earlier and it was working fine. Mike, it's gonna reset for you, so just let it do its thing when I click promote. I think he closed out again. If he can't be promoted to panelist, I'm just going to allow him to talk, and then I'll just do what I did with One Shore Road. I'll pull up the plans from your agenda.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, how are you? This is Mike Betcher.
Hi, Mike.
How is everyone? Hopefully staying well.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, okay, I know it keeps trying to bump me off, so I'll be brief. What we're looking to do here is the existing home as it sits is a beige vinyl sided home with a stucco base. So we're looking to do an addition off the back of the house. Not that it has anything really to do with the front. It's closer to the side. We got through zoning. The neighbors have already looked at the plans for the home and have no problems. They said they all like it. I believe I've submitted the emails with that. So what I wanted to do was create the addition because it was an existing roof deck and also an existing screened-in porch on the first floor. Basically, all of that had to be redone in order to support the second floor. So the second floor addition sits on the existing first floor towards the side of the house and also on top of the columns for the screened-in porch. So in order to give it a little more character than what it has now, making the columns more grandeur, beefing them up. Siding is going to stay exactly the same. The windows match the house exactly. The shingles are going to stay the same. Even the pitch of the addition, everything matches existing in order to make it feel like it was always part of the house. There'll be a small deck and staircase off the back just so that they can go up. Now what's inside is a family room with a vaulted ceiling and also a master bedroom, again with a vaulted ceiling, because just for requiring more space. The family is getting larger and the kids are growing up and kind of need some more space themselves. But definitely throughout the whole process was always staying on top of making the addition look and feel as if it was always there. So that's what we are intending to do.
Is this intended to be like a 2-family residence or not? Because I see like duplicated
Yeah,
kitchens
it was at one time it was a 2-family, but it was changed over to a single family. The owner lived there with her parents and also their 3 kids.
Okay.
So 7 people in a home. That's why the addition is necessary.
Okay.
So as you can see on that picture, that was the existing roof deck in
Yeah.
very good shape.
Yeah. Right. So you're saying all the materials match existing, so
Everything will match
yeah,
existing.
existing.
The white trim, there'll be an engineered column. So the trim on the small deck and the side of the steps, that's all engineered trim in white. So it would match, you know, typical trim work. But siding, windows, roofing, it all matches exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Mhm.
Okay, anybody else on the board have any
Nope.
questions or comments?
I'm good.
Greg, is anybody, you said there are other people in the audience, were they, anybody interested in speaking to this
There's
project?
one other person. I don't know if they're related to the project, but they're not raising their hand.
All right. Okay. Well, it looks simple and straightforward enough to me, I suppose. If there aren't any further comments or questions, can somebody wish to make a motion?
Motion.
And second, please. Okay, Cindy, I believe seconded. She's muted, but she raised her hand in a second-like way.
Yep, second, sorry.
Okay. So, any opposed?
Nope.
Okay, then it's approved and we're good to go.
Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Stay healthy.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay, now, Barbara, you sent me the minutes, the ones that I'm supposed to sign there. I don't recall, but I think you sent me a they're attached to the sign-on sheet, right?
The ones to be signed, I sent you yesterday with the Zoom link email.
Yeah, that's right, with the Zoom link. That's what I thought. Okay, so I've got to do that. And
And our next meeting is Tuesday, June 2nd.
Tuesday, June 2nd.
Okay. All right.
And I will make sure that whoever is taking over your Zoom meetings will hopefully know what they're doing. And I do want to say it's been a pleasure, even though it's been a short period of time, it's been a pleasure working with you folks.
We'll
Hey,
miss you, Greg.
Yes.
Thanks.
Greg, yeah.
Hey, Barbara, if not, I'm happy to do like a tech lead if you want.
Okay.
Wow.
I
The
heard
little
it.
probably doesn't pay very well, though.
Hey.
That's like pretty, I don't know, I'd think twice about volunteering for that, man.
Well, it would frustrate me more if we can't actually get through the meeting. So I figured that it's the lesser of the two evils.
Okay. All right.
Why didn't you offer that before? I wouldn't have to come.
You.
Okay,
Thanks,
well,
everyone.
Greg, I guess
Okay.
we'll see you again then. So really good luck there in Scarsdale. And
Well,
Thank
I
you.
missed this. Greg, are you moving to another town?
Yeah, I'm not fit. I actually live in Mamaroneck, and I'm
Right.
going to continue living in Mamaroneck. But yeah, I'm going to Scarsdale to be their village planner.
Wow. Who's going to be our planner now? Do we know that?
Undetermined at this point.
And that's who will be with our Zoom meetings?
It may be the assistant manager that will help you with your Zoom meetings. Also
Okay.
undetermined.
Well, it has been a pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Good luck.
Have a good night.
Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.